Welcome back, fellow adventurers. Let's take a quick look back at episode 1. We set off from Canberra this morning, crossed over the Brindabellas and made our way into Kosciuszko National Park. The goal for today is to reach Berridale by nightfall. We're picking up this episode right where we left off, just after turning off Broken Cart Track onto Long Plain Road. But first, let's take a quick look at the map. We are currently here on the orange route.
Well, tracking along Long Plain Road. This should be pretty cruisy, this part. But I must say, the Broken Cart Track was amazing. Right, I think that's Long Plain through there. What we see, the power line area. Whoa, that's a little dodgy. Should be good video. Right. We're onto the plain. Should be able to motor along here for a bit. Well, here we are at the turn off to Port Phillip Road, or Fire Trail to be exact. Down there is Long Plain Hut, one I must check out one day. And Port Phillip Trail says that the causeway is open. Life jackets must be worn. Murrumbidgee River. And there's the old bridge. That is amazing. Well, that was worth the little sidetrack to have a look. Over the big bridge now. This Port Phillip Fire Trail is quite good. We're near Ghost Gully Campground. Alright, this is Ghost Gully Campground. Nice looking campground actually. But we continue on. Back in the forest. Some wattle. Oh, the gravel makes it a bit exciting. Dam Fire Trail, Port Phillip Causeway is open. That is down there. Well, this is the causeway. Looks like nothing special. Some water laying around. And flowing. Ah, old traction engine. It's an old traction engine, and there's a crusher. Curango hay shed site. That's the Curango homestead. So this is Daffodil Cottage in the Curango homestead area. This is built in about 1915, so we just found by the caretaker and the guy that lives here. We'll go past Curango homestead on the way out. We found out it was private property, as in you're not meant, sorry, not private property, you're not meant to have vehicles in here. But the homestead, which we'll see down here in a sec, $18.99, and you can rent all these. Amazing place. Might have to come back here for an overnight trip. All right, there we go, and we're on our way again. Apparently, they've just opened these trails like this week, so we were lucky that we didn't come any earlier. Something to keep in mind if you're coming down here is to know when the gates open and shut. Alright, we've got 28 kilometres to the highway and we're on Pockets Saddle Road. And we should go past Tatangara Dam on this road. And coming up to the highest point of the trip, I think it's like 1,172 metres, something like that. So this is pretty much the highest point here. Let me tell you, it's a little cool up here. And there's Tatangara Dam, which we will be going down to soon. That's amazing. We'll be crossing over here. Now I have the old bridge, which is closed off. And we have Tatangara Dam Spillway. And there's the spillway. And there's a viewing platform. There's the spillway. Be good to go for a walk over there. What I thought was the power station is actually the Snowy Hydro too. A little bit of roadworks happening. Bit of blacktop. Back onto the blacktop. And heading down towards Adaminaby. Yeah, coming into Adaminaby.
After visiting the former St Andrew's Church, built in 1888, we continue on to St John's, which is still in use today. It was built in 1906. Both of these churches were built in Old Adaminaby before being relocated in 1956-57 due to flooding of the township as part of the creation of Lake Yukonbean. From there, it is a short ride into the heart of Adaminaby, where we stop at the local bakery for lunch. By now it's close to 2 o'clock and the pie oven is looking a little bare, but what's left still hits the spot. We take some time to look around town and take in a bit of Adaminaby's history before heading off on the final leg of the day's ride, aiming to visit Round Plain Church, then continue on to our overnight stop in Berridale. Just outside Adaminaby, we turn off the Kosciuszko Highway onto Boboyan Road and then onto Kingston Road to leave the highway behind, because, let's be honest, there's nothing more boring than riding on blacktop. Unfortunately, we have to rejoin the highway for a short stretch before turning off again onto Middling Bank Road. It's sealed, but at least we're off the main highway.
Okay. Nice spot.
As we near the Buckendara Road turnoff, Jason spots a church ahead. This is the former St Thomas's Anglican Church, now privately owned. It was originally built around 1890 at Rocky Plains and relocated here to Middling Bank in 1900. It's great to know it's still standing for future reference, but now we continue our ride. We are back on the dirt again as we turn onto Waianui Road, and in truth, isn't dirt so much more exciting to ride? Waianui Road leads us through to Yukonbean Road, where the surface changes back to blacktop, but it's only about 11 kilometres to the next church. Along the way, we pass the historic Rocky Plains Public School, built in 1927, before turning onto Rocky Plain Road. Just a couple of kilometres further on, the Round Plain Uniting Church comes into view.
Coming up to the Round Plain Uniting Church. The last church before we get into Berridale. Light is awesome on this church.
Round Plain Uniting Church began life as the first Presbyterian church in the Cooma district of Monero, a small but significant landmark in the region's early history. The foundation stone was laid on Tuesday the 30th of March 1869, and a little over a year later, on Sunday the 10th of April 1870, the doors opened to the local congregation for the first time. Following the formation of the Uniting Church in Australia in June 1977, this congregation, along with 2/3 of the Presbyterian Church of Australia, became part of the new denomination.
Stony Creek Road.
Leaving the church, it's a short ride to Stony Creek Road. I had planned to follow Round Plain Road onto Kia Lake Road, but at the GPS marked spot, we found only 2 gates and no signs.
The other way, sheep.
Unsure of the legalities, we played it safe, backtracking to Stony Creek Road and then onto Rocky Plain Road, which led us to Middling Bank Road. As we neared Berridale, the far end of Keir Lake Road was clearly signposted. In hindsight, we could have reached it by continuing along Round Plain Road. Checking the New South Wales Government Spatial Viewer confirms Keir Lake Road is a gazetted road, so it could have been ridden. Rolling into Berridale after a long day, we top up with fuel to be ready for an early start tomorrow. Then it's off to the hotel to unpack before heading out to the pub for dinner. I'll leave you with a few photos from our walk to the pub. Tomorrow we continue on to Dalgety, Balocka, Ironmungy, Nimitabel, and then begin the journey home. But that's a story for another day. If you enjoyed this video and want to join me for the rest of the adventure, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming rides.